Thank you very much, Lindsay, and welcome to you all. It's my chance to say hello to everybody who's in here today. You've taken the time to get a lot of information here, network, and learn. It's a very important event, and the topic today is at heart. It's very close to us. So, welcome to the panelists. I've got Esha, I've got Sheikh, I've got James, and I've got my fellow Brit, Ayman, and my friend mine. So, welcome to you all. So, as I say, ladies first, I'm going to start with Esha. Isha, is that all right for you? Good stuff. Right. So, first question for you, Isha, starting from the focus on Dubai. In the UAE, around the global regulatory and tax environment, how can AI be leveraged to help CFOs and entrepreneurs not only stay compliant, but also gain a competitive advantage in their financial planning? Thank you so much, Kamran. UAE is been changing very dynamically and complete landscape from compliance perspective in the last 10 years have evolved. Right from VAT coming in 2017, post that you had ESR, you had UBO, you had AML compliance, and now corporate tax coming in. So the complete landscape has changed, and all CFOs or all financial professionals have to be very mindful about that to understand what they're dealing. I get a lot of financial professionals and a lot of entrepreneurs come back to me and say that, the legislation, the regulation, the regulator, FTA, which is Federal Tax Authority, is fairly new in this region. But they completely undermine the fact that FTA is very much advanced in terms of technology. And they have integrated AI in everything that they do. So there's a lot of robotic process automation and process being automated. With that, embedding AI in their technology in their processing and compliance framework, it makes it very important for all the taxpayers to understand that. So the minute you file returns, they need to understand that your data has been already been or your industry has already been benchmarked. So what are the GP levels? What are the net profit levels? What tax you're paying? Is it in is it right? Or have you benchmarked to see whether it is as per global standards? If not, you have to be ready from a compliance perspective for scrutinies, audits. So this is something which is very important. A lot of people totally ignore the fact that they come back from legislations where taxations have been there historically for 100 years. But you need to understand that the systems that there are very conservative, and even the bureaucratic systems are quite old. So here technology and the AI that's being used is different. So all the CFOs out there need to understand that and prepare themselves from that perspective and ensure that they take into consideration compliance very, very seriously as well. Wow, Risha, that almost felt like a DMV coming from the UK, from the west into the east, talking about the 100 years of taxation a bit more with the UK. And it just almost felt like you're looking at me going, your system's not really that good. And in reality, when I look at the UAE systems, it's pretty robust. And the way they're building it up from the ground up, it's really important the way it is very important because the systems are completely new. So they have learned from all the best practices around the globe. So what kind of systems that they've created is extremely robust, right? So you need to understand you're dealing with a tax authority which is extremely smart and having AI embedded in that, it's a complete game changer. So here we have case where the tax return was filed by the end of the month in September, and in 2 days had got a notification asking for a lot of information. So you see how fast they are in terms of getting back to the information and requesting for additional information. So it's not being done by humans; it's all being done by AI. So you have to ensure that you and your systems and your accounting systems and your teams are ready to deal with those kind of problems going forward. Fine, well, we don't have that in the UK at the moment. I'm going to swiftly move on to Jake Mathew. James, you're in the same space as we're discussing, which is compliance space with regards to AI and how the East is adopting it as an issue that we put down. How do you think CFOs and the decision makers can use it proactively in their businesses and leverage it? Thank you, Kamran. Thank you. Good morning, everyone. Thank you, Anna Global, for inviting me to this important panel discussion. The East is the new West. For those of you from UAE, I would say Middle East. I just add Middle East is the new West because the entire region is shaping up with new businesses coming from across the world, be it the United Arab, UK, or from the Indian. But all what is happening in the US on the tariffs and other related matters are bringing in lots of businesses to this place. Coming back to the question, yes, artificial intelligence is something which is taking shape. Everyone is speaking about it today. Um, I think we need to step back a little bit. Today, there are so many tools available in the market, but are we all ready with our data in our hand? Because Ishan just talked about September 30 deadlines. I think all the audit firms and every consultant was working, I think, for the last 3, 4 weeks throughout the even Friday, Saturday, Sundays. Why? Because the clients were not ready with the data. Because they have never done them. Some of them, they never did their audit the last 10, 15 years. They never reconciled their books of accounts. And today, the need of the RIs, the compliance just kicked in, and I'm sure that this is going to change the way we are looking at. So, after speaking about the data, I think once the data is there, there are plenty of areas where I think the information can help the CEOs. Today, how many of you are from Dubai and running a business? Can you raise your hand, please? You could raise it a bit higher, I want to see where you are. So raise your hand looks like this. That's more like it. We can see hands now. And just hold on. How many of you are running a business? Where are which of a part of the world you are? So today, typically, CEOs should spend at least around 70% of your time on thinking hat. Where is the thinking hat? How many of you can really think, use like 70% of your time there? So in order to for you to think, you should have data, right? You should have information dashboard in front of you, which is what we are lacking at this point in time. How are we spending so much of our time in competition? Are we implementing things or fixing things, or rather we should move into the thinking spot? I think that's where the AI technology will try and bring in. First, get the data right, train the data, move into the implementation and the dashboard. All of us would be better off, much better off. Thank you. Thank you, Sheikh. Now, that was very interesting. We have the tax authorities from Isha in the UAE, which are very robust, whereas the compliance piece is lacking somewhat when it comes to customers. And in Dr. Direct Nazar's words, SM, I would say SE, so we have the startup enterprises. The next question, then, I'd like Ayman to ask a question for you. Keeping that in mind in terms of how far behind the people are in terms of compliance. So, finance in the East is traditionally compliance driven. With AI now automating bookkeeping and reporting, how do CFOs shift from non-bookkeepers to true strategy partners without losing sight of regulatory and tax compliance in fast and changing markets like the GCC and alleviating the pain that James mentioned earlier in terms of the reporting and not having the data? Firstly, thanks for having me on here. Great to see so many people here interested in these kind of topics. And it's going to feel like James here has set me up because I think data is such a key element. And just for the record, we can set he's going to start with his answers. But yeah, basically, data is a really, really important part of it. Now, a lot of the time, most accounting firms, most businesses, a lot of businesses are still having people manually typing stuff up. So manually typing up invoices, receipts, and this can take a lot of time. The technologies that have actually lead kits and have been around for a very, very long time. Things like OCR technology has now been enhanced by AI to make the extraction of both physical and digital receipts and invoices significantly quicker and more accurate, far better than any human could do. And also, the great thing about the technology is it doesn't need days off, it doesn't get sick, it doesn't go on holiday, which is amazing. It means it can work 24/7. I'm not suggesting that people should take time off, but we should use the robots where they're good, and that is for these kind of tasks. So being able to eliminate data entry can free up at least 50% of the data entry you've got in your business so that your staff can focus on more value adding time. And there's a wealth of tools out there. And yes, there's so many, the choice can be overwhelming. And so we kind of try and help with that by reducing the amount of noise that there is there. Now, what we're seeing in this market in particular is that there has been a lot of innovation here. However, the accounting, because it is relatively new advanced, taxes are new here. People haven't really needed to adopt technologies at the same rate as based above the UK where I was before. I've got the benefit of having seen that some of that transformation. And this was one of the first areas that kind of went away or at least was mitigated was let's reduce data entry as much as possible. We can speed up our processes, reduce the errors that we have. That means that we can focus on delivering more value to our clients and helping us stand out, be able to close month end much quicker, to have less stress at kind of period ends when you've filed tax filing deadlines, etc. So that kind of level of stress that lots of firms still face on deadline day has reduced with lots of firms in the UK. I'm sure you can attest to this stuff around yourself. Absolutely, it's a developing thing, and the thing is quite much the same across the world at the moment. So I'm looking at leveraging AI to ensure they deliver the best in terms of efficiency, productivity, and reporting in real time. And again, reducing that manual intervention of doing things and getting the technology to help you with that. Now, talking about technology and changing the tact a little bit, I'm going to come to Sheikh Noman, who I mistakenly called Sheikh Usman, so that might be a nickname for next time, Sheikh. Uh, when you're talking about technology, and you're talking about the development and the growth, what I want to know is the investment flow between the GCC and Asia growing rapidly. How can AI-driven predictive analytics cross border enhancement investment strategies while managing geopolitical and financial crisis? Talking about the tools that Abel's talking about. Thank you, Sheikh, to give me a question. The GCC, particularly Saudi Arabia and Emirat, they're doing a tremendous job in AI. I think the EU is the only one in the world who has given the free ChatGPT to the resident of UAE. It is not to be dependent on AI, it is just for scalability and efficiency of the productivity that you can scale up yourself. Like she said, that after 30th of September, after 2 days, they got a lot of questions that they were pending. Everything was done by AI, just for efficiency. Similarly, in the data centers in open data, where the bot is collecting that source of information available, it is helping to conduct the due diligence, to risk analyzation, to filter and process approval, like 2 hours approval, yes or no, simple. Similarly, like we are adopting one bot in Germany. In that technology, what we are doing is we are training the bot to the open data information and the private information. Like any audited firms, if they are doing hundreds of audits in a month, that bot can do 300 audit for you in a month. So that means the scalability. You just need to train the bot. It will be your bot, and it will do the all rest of the work for you guys. So I believe people are saying that a lot of people are going to lose their job, but I doubt about it because uh, machine cannot replace a human. Human are still there to dominate, to train them, to give them a lot of information. And CFOs are mostly concerned about it because CFO, I would just say they need to change the name from CFO, Chief Financial Officer, to the Chief Future Officer, so that they will be learning more about the AI, particularly of Dubai government. Alhamdulillah has given free certifications to a lot of people who are resident of UAE. You can do the free online AI courses. It is absolutely going to add on the values to you guys, anybody. And once you've done one certification, and then you will have different industries, healthcare, finances, investments, crypto, blockchain, all this. So wherever your area of interest is, you can adopt that area and learn more about the AI. And because the world is transforming from the traditional to the intangible assets. Similarly, like people are talking about how can crypto can help to have a finance. It's easy. If you have some kind of crypto assets, you can place them some like Binance is giving this kind of facilities. There are some more exchanges I know they are giving these facilities that you can place your digital assets on them and you can take a loan against it, like that similar like traditional banks. So banks are still having some issues,
Still, frauds are happening. A lot of crazy things are happening after 100, more than 100 years of banking industry. So accepting similar kind of fraudulent and bad activities happening in crypto, it's okay. It's a new. It's not new anyways. It's been more than 10 years now. It's a new technology to evolve the world of a decentralized system. It's my money. I should have my own control of my money. So that is why I'm a big fan of technology, crypto. People should adopt it, and I think you is within that part. That Abu Dhabi is investing $1.4 trillion in AI and data centers in the United States. So you can imagine in 1 or 2 years' time, UAE is going to lead the world in AI. And this is one of the reasons they give the free access to the all resident of UAE, the free ChatGPT, just to scale up yourself, learn yourself more so that you will be compatible, competitive in a competitive market. And the world is moving here for the different kind of financing investment infrastructures.
Thank you very much for that, Noman. Now, you mentioned something there that's hit a nerve with me. You said it's my money, I should control it. Yes? Well, I've been trying to do that for the last 15 years of my marriage, and I don't think it's working yet.
That's a different thing. It's very hard to control over.
Right. So, talking about what you mentioned in terms of audit and 300 audits in a month, and then you've got James here from your tribe. James, in your opinion, looking at the landscape of audit in the future, with the technology coming here, how would you bring about the value of the customers, the end customers, looking at what you produce in audit? What would happen to the numbers and the skill set that Noman, aka Usman, mentioned earlier, with regards to the people that currently work for your practice, and what does their future look like in your opinion?
Thank you. I think technology, embracing technology has become the need of the art, number one. Now, let's look at we as an auditor and how we add value to our clients and make sure we are not fraud detectors, for example. We use one of the things. We at the same time, there should be some amount of assurance given to the management of the company that is everything is going okay. Procurement is a function which is everyone runs the procurement function in your organization. 65 to 70% of the total volume of business is revolving around procurement. If you look at that function right, I think most of the things you will get it right. Because you be the manufacturing company, how you secure, how you procure your document. Now, one example, there should be a procurement process. You look at technical competence. We look at the L1, L2, L3. But still, today, if you want to be smart, somebody can be smart enough to, even if it is L3, the contracts can go to L3. It will not go to the L1 because there are ways by which people manage that one. Now, what I'm just trying to say is today, so many things because in the Middle East, I don't want to be offensive to anybody. We governance is not taken seriously. Compliance is not taken seriously. Thanks to all what we discussed just now on the FDA, all of them are after you. You got to run it. So now you find there are a lot of loopholes in the system. At the end of the day, as auditors, we do a test check of 10 samples or 100 samples. But if you run the code technology, you can have run the entire population and come up with the result. And this is what it is at the end of the day. And then one click of a button. So that's why life will be made so easy for us as auditors. I'm sure that's for everybody who's on the other side as well.
So where, from that perspective, looking at that, and you could do the whole data set, and you can get the results. The question I have is, how do you portray the value that you bring in as the auditors to the end customer?
With the speed of time, because if you are the audit committee, if you're reporting to the audit committee, at the end of the day, it's not the sample, you're bringing the 100% value. These are the number of anomalies that we picked up during this audit. Would that not add value to the audit committee or to the management or to the board at large? Right?
And obviously, with that, the back of it, you could do real time reporting. Not just that, you can also go on the back of it provide value added services. So you could give them other services which sometimes auditors can't do. There's some conflict, but there is a lot of value that's provided within that service. Now, talking about all of the toolkits that we've got and what the risk is involved in there, my next question is to Esha. What are the key risks and compliance considerations that finance leaders should keep in mind as they integrate AI into the financial processes themselves?
So data is one of the things, Kamran, which I think these two gentlemen, Mr. James and Saib, already touched. The data hygiene, the data that we're putting in has to be looked into very carefully. So that's one of the biggest risks. Because what happens and what I've seen in my experience in this part of the world is that a lot of companies really do not understand that, what kind of data you put in is what kind of output you get. So if you are not very mindful of how the data is being captured, how the data is being maintained, and all the processes being done properly, you would have the same problem. So there is one of the biggest risks that I see. And also with that, the entire people that are working on it. So a lot of companies going for very, very, SAP systems and ERP systems, very sophisticated systems. They're going for the implementation, but are the people ready for it? A lot of ERP implementations, forget about AI, which is the next thing, but then even ERP implementations have failed in this market because the people are not ready. So are you working in terms of doing that learning and development and, scaling your team to have an complete understanding of how do you use these systems, how do you use the basic SAP systems, how do you capture the data. There is where I see a lot of this happening. Post that, how change management needs to be done. Whether are you taking change management and such project transformation, huge transformations very serious. So a lot of companies where I do tell them, and I've been a lot of business owners who are very frustrated that they spend millions on SEs, but the entire thing has been a failure. The organizations have not even being able to use 20% of that. So one of the key risks that I see is your human capital. How well are you training them? How well are you managing such transformations in your organization with the data? So these are two big risks that I see in this market. Thank you.
Very eloquently said, and this is coming back to the same point we're talking about, James, with regards to what do we do with the current resource. And that's very important. You upskill your staff in the right manner and the training program put in place step by step. It will enable these people to be an asset to the organization rather than us looking to replace them with just technology.
Absolutely, if you want to protect something, cost the organization is very high. So a lot of organizations now need to understand that they need to invest in learning and development, and they need to have mechanisms that they need to feed their teams. We are, I call, digital natives already, or the millennials and above are digital natives, but there are still a lot of people in the organization who are very resistant when it comes to change. So are we preparing our learning and development teams to work towards it, to help them, and help these individuals to scale themselves up, giving them the right kind of, footholding to help and improve their, technology capability. So that's something which has to be looked very seriously going forward because technologies are changing very quickly. AI is coming very quickly. Are the people ready for that or not? Thank you.
Thank you, Isha. And that's very important when you're looking at technology, adaptation, upskilling, looking at the resources, and looking at the right tools for you. Leading on from that, what, in your opinion, Ayman, are the low hanging fruit or tools that are available in the marketplace to help the SMSE market, whereas the data is concerned, whereas reporting is concerned, and also in terms of integration and ensuring that the risk and the compliance is a massive big part of the issue.
Firstly, I think I almost broke my leg. I was nothing so much when Isha was talking there. 100%. I'm a big tech guy. I don't call myself the chief tech handy for nothing. But basically, the technology is only as good as what the people are that are really implementing it. We do get lots of tech implemented as a tick box activity in the organizations. This just doesn't give anyone any value whatsoever. What we need to do is make sure that we are piloting any new tech adoption with a small subsector of the business that needs to get confidence high, get people that really believe in it and see the value and are able to get everyone else on board. The change management piece is huge in terms of adopting whole new ways of working. We're not just replacing Excel with accounting software or people with a AI tool that's going to do it for you. It's more about changing ways of working and attitudes. And it's far greater challenge. Now, in terms of the low hanging fruit, definitely something that automates your data entry. There's so many tools out there. And that's where I would start for most manufactured businesses. You should not have huge teams of people typing up invoices and receipts. So get rid of that almost immediately. And you will find that lots of your clients also are quite keen to use these technologies themselves. So they don't want to keep, I don't know if this is like a news flash, but your clients don't want to keep invoices and receipts for months on end and give them to you in the end of the period or at the end of the year. They don't want to do that. They want to get rid of it as soon as possible and forget about it. So they can take a photo, forward that email off, and just forget about those documents. That's kind of what they want. The next thing is then once you've got the accounting in order, because most people want to be able to read into the numbers and, as you said earlier, make better data-driven decisions. And they can't really do that if the accounting isn't up to date. So getting your accounts done at the end of the quarter or at the end of the year is not valuable for you to be able to make any kind of decisions. And most CFOs that I meet, fractional CFOs or full-time ones, this is their biggest challenge: is they cannot get their hands on up-to-date accounting information so that they can make valuable finance decisions. So what I would do first is get yourself on a cloud accounting platform. Automate the data entry is one of those tools, and there's so many out there. Need advice, let me know. And then also, then you can start plugging in these reporting tools to either consolidate the accounts or to provide you with dashboards, management accounts, whatever it is that you need to be able to make decisions in a timely manner. That's kind of what you need. But you have to do it in an order. You can't jump too far ahead and go to the reporting if you haven't sorted out the data coming in and the accounting going on the bookkeeping on an ongoing basis. So
That's great. That's fantastic. Thank you, everything for that. Looking at that piece there, when we're looking at the reporting, so it comes back to the point that Esha and James joined the race about the filing and people being involved in the deadlines and killing themselves for weeks or days at end at last minute, 30th of September. When you have this, it works locally, and I'm guessing it works internationally for organizations which are subsidiaries of other organizations internationally. And how would that feed into their data set? Is there an API? Is there a link that when they produce the data in the UAE that can just cross border across it without looking at foreign exchange?
So lots of the accounting platforms that are out there are kind of set to be able to handle that multi-currency. So you need to just be in the right version first. And then it's about how do I consolidate accounts across my entities across borders. Now, there's third-party tools that can plug in to help you achieve that so that you can report in the right currency across your organizations. So these kind of tools are available. Most people still doing this in Excel, and they're spending days, weeks, months, whatever it is, to get their accounts consolidated that way. And it's a real thing. So we need to avoid that. There are also kind of third-party tools that will plug in and help you be locally compliant in different markets. And so there's a wealth out there. It's about ultimately you need to reach organization. But assuming that Excel is always the answer is the wrong approach. Excel is great. Everyone uses Excel. It's all I mean. However, it's good at use and it's good at flaws. It's about recognizing when it's the right tool and also relieving yourself of that hassle of having to come up with something on the fly every single time in Excel when you've got things that happen periodically anyway. And so they're going to spend a lot of energy.
Wonderful. Now, I know we've got all these people here, and they're here to get some valuable information out of us, the panelists. So now I'm going to start with Sheikh Noman now. I just need one phrase of the golden nugget that you can give to the audience here that they can take, they can write it down and go back and contemplate on to go, this is what I need to do in the businesses now and looking at towards the future. I'm going to ask the same question across all the panelists, but starting from Noman.
Well, just don't get complicated. Don't mix up things. There are a lot of people from 90s and 80s child. I started using the computer.
Now, be careful.
So I started using computer 486 in 1992. So then the Windows came, the Photoshop came, the Paint came, the new software started coming in. So we were told that please learn it, otherwise you will be outdated. So we kept on learning the new things. So blockchain, crypto, AI, Web3, everything is new software. There's nothing new. It's just something trying to create a anarchy between the old-minded people and the new Gen Zs. The new revelation. There's nothing to revelation. It's a new software that people need to adopt it, learn it, and be in a set queue where the Gen Zs are learning, leading the world. So it's very simple, clear. That's why government is supporting us to do that, and it's okay.
Thank you very much. Esha, in a short phrase, what's the golden nugget today?
I think people need to really, keep an eye on the macroeconomic situations globally, especially how it's going to impact you where you are. With a lot of things happening so quickly around the world, one of the most important things would be to focus on how globally economy is changing and how they can, take advantage of their position in viewing as well. Thank you.
Jake Mathew.
As someone who has been practicing in the UAE for last 30 plus years, three words are important to you, and I think it's important to all of you: management, information system, MIS. This is how good are the data coming to you as owner on a daily basis, on a weekly basis, on a monthly basis, on a yearly basis. If you can make these things work for you, I think your business is good. Thank you.
Ayman, last but not least.
I follow all that. So I would say that it's a false economy if you think you're saving money by just doing what you've always done with the technology that you've done. In the past, we've kind of just been used to buying software once and then never having to pay for it again. Maybe you pay some annual maintenance. But these days, you're going to lose out on all the latest innovations if you don't go to something that is on a subscription basis. Because these guys are updating with all the latest AI all the time. But I agree that start with the basics, get it right, and make sure you invest in the right technologies. Because otherwise, if you don't, your competitors will, and you will pull the loss in spearing eventually, and you'll have lost out of that.
Thank you. Well, on that note, a big round of applause for our panelists today.